Yeah, I mean the Michigan schedule is, yeah, not ideal, but I'm not gonna make it seem like I'm looking up Ohio State's schedule just because I'm very curious. But I mean, just from recent memory, I mean Ohio State did have, well, this is a while ago, but you had the Texas, Ohio State. I think they did a home and home. They had one with Oklahoma. They played Oregon last year and they lost that game. I don't know if that's a home and home, which I think that's why I was looking up their schedule. So it does not look like that is a home and home. Or I wonder if the first year was the COVID year to where it's not a home and home, or the first one happened. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like people get the perception of out of conference schedules and thinking that they're all cupcakes. As an Alabama fan, I hear it all the time that they don't schedule anybody, but then when you roll through, the last 10, 15 years, they've had the number one team scheduled on the calendar, or the number one ranked team scheduled, which Florida State, I think that was 2015 maybe, where Florida State was the number one preseason team. They've had Virginia Tech, they've had Wisconsin, they've had, Duke and Louisville were a little rough. They've had scheduled Miami. They opened with Texas this year, so it just, sometimes people just get something in their minds that you do or don't schedule somebody, and that's the truth. But at the end of the day, too, I what I look at is if you're undefeated, you're getting in. So we can make arguments that you should have a tougher schedule. You should have a tougher schedule. Yes, we can argue those things, but what you can't argue is a Power Five team going undefeated, and they are getting in the playoff. So, yeah, it's a double edged sword. You schedule better team. Like, I look at Ohio State. You scheduled an Oregon team who was a really good team. I'm not here for the Oregon slander today. Oregon's a really good team, really good program, and you scheduled them, and you ended up losing that game out of conference. And then when you couple that with the Michigan loss, you're now not going to the playoff with no chance of getting in. Whereas if you beat Oregon and you still lose to Michigan, you maybe have a shot to get in the playoff. This year was a little different because you had Alabama and Georgia, but in a normal year, you might have a shot of getting in. So it's a double-edged sword. I think we're not going to get into playoff talk right now. We only got a couple minutes left, but at the end of the day, the goal is to get to the playoff. So I'm not going to say the easiest path to getting there, because yeah, I like seeing the out of conference games of Alabama, Wisconsin. Alabama's about to play Texas. Ohio State and Oregon. Like I do like seeing those. So that part is really cool. So I'm definitely going to hope that that trend continues, and I do think it will, especially as the expansion of the playoff is inevitable. It's coming. So you're gonna have more wiggle room with losses, because right now it's two losses and you're done. So as the playoff expands and you talk about three at large bids, well, I'd rather be the Big Ten team that, lost maybe one game out of conference and then lost one conference game, didn't make it to the conference championship, but I still have a heck of a resume and I played some really tough teams. Now when you talk about potentially, I don't know how many at-large bids are talking about, but three at-large bids, well, I've got a pretty good shot of getting there. But we'll see what happens with that as far as the scheduling and things like that. And I think the other difficult part is that somehow these agreements happen so far in advance that I don't think that you should have a team scheduled 7, 8 years out. Like, I think that's crazy. To me, it should be like we should be looking for 2023 opponents right now. Like, that's to me, that's how it should work, because you end up scheduling a team, 8 years out. You have no idea if that team's going to be good or even worth you scheduling them. So what's the great. Ohio State's good now. Well, what if in 5 years they have some turnover and things aren't going that well? Well, you scheduled them thinking that you were going to get a boost, and now they're struggling. So I just the scheduling I think needs some tweaking for sure. Um, but we'll see what happens, and I'm not even sure how I even get to that point, but here we are. It might be tough to get in if you have one loss and no conference championship. I think it'd be tough, but I think we've seen it happen before with, I mean, we saw Georgia just make it this past season. Alabama's done it before. So it's possible. I think Notre Dame in the year that they were in the ACC, they had the loss to Clemson in the ACC championship game. So yeah, it just, to me, yeah, it's tough, but it's definitely doable. And Antoine kind of talking about the scheduling. It only benefits you if you beat the harder non-conference scheduled opponent, and you need the extra clout. I agree. Because obviously if you lose it, then it really doesn't. I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, let's stick with Ohio State just because we're talking about them. But if they lose to Oregon and win and run the table, then it's fine. They look great, and it probably helps Oregon's schedule a little, or strength of schedule a little bit too. So AJ says you can tell Michigan has a mental edge on Ohio State. Michigan is in Ohio State's head. The culture is not the same under Ryan Day as it was under Urban Meyer. I mean, I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure I would say that. I think it's probably a bit of recency bias, because I think if Ohio State wins this year, I don't think anyone's has that same criticism. I'm sorry, if Ohio State won the most recent game, I think people would probably not have that outlook on it. So I think part of it is just kind of the recency bias, which is normal to have. So I don't know. I don't know. But Ryan Day did say he wanted to hang 100 on him, and he did not hang 100. Lie detector tests said that was a lie. Antoine says Michigan's schedule is usually hard. I have no problem with Michigan eating some cupcakes every once in a while. Why not? Everybody else does too. I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's see. Old friends call it Taylor. And yes. It was, yeah, Taylor Tucky. That is definitely it.